שלום לכולם, שלום לכל הנמצאים ואלה שעוד הצטרפו. אנחנו מתחילים היום הדרכה של חברת Defensx, את כל עולם ה-Secure Browsing, את כל עולם ההגנה על הגלישה באינטרנט, והיכולת של המערכת בעצם להגן בפני התקפות AI ובפני הוצאת מידע, מה שנקרא Shadow AI, החוצה מהארגון. נמצאים איתי כאן אנדרו וג'סטין מחברת Defensx, שהם יעבירו את המצגת. מי שבעצם יש לו שאלות, אז מוזמן לשאול בצ'אט, ואנחנו נענה עליהם תוך כדי שיחה. בסוף הסשן גם כן יהיה זמן כמובן לשאלות תשובות, ולאחר מכן מי שירצה עוד מידע, עוד פרטים, מוזמן לפנות אלינו. לא הצגתי את עצמי, אז אני שרון חיימתן, אני ה-CTO בספייק-IT, נמצאים איתי רומיה ועומרי, שהם ה-PSים שנותנים את התמיכה והשירות לפתרונות שלנו, כולל כמובן Defensx, ואני מקווה שתהנו. Andrew, you can start, please.
Terrific. Well, Sharon, thank you. Thank you to our friends at Spikeit for inviting us to join today. My name is Andrew Morton, as Sharon just said, Vice President Sales, Global Sales for Defensx. Joining me is Justin Passero, Security Systems Engineer with us. We will walk through a pretty good agenda today. There's a lot of things that we do. You know, I was able to pick up some of what Sharon was saying. And, you know, we are a secure browser, but today's focus is very much around AI, shadow AI, and some other tools in AI. So we'll talk a bit about this. There are many things that we do, and I will give a bit of an overview, but looking very much forward to a productive session today. We will give a little overview as well and a little bit of agenda here in a moment. Some quick background and Defensx, of course, as well. I will provide a little bit of an overview. And we'll get right into it, you know, state of the AI in the workplace and what's happening. And we're seeing this on a global scale. I'll cover three main use cases today, this afternoon. Talk a bit about shadow AI governance, how to make AI usage safe for organizations, which is sort of a new idea. And we'll get into this in a moment. And then I'll get into something called Nexi AI as well, where there's an opportunity, depending if you're an MSP or if you're an enterprise, there's some ways to monetize and at the very least find some real ROI with this safely. And then, you know, the big challenge with AI is safe usage. So there's certainly a lot to talk about. I would love, please, to make this very interactive. If you have questions, please put up your hands. We can also reserve some time at the end. We're not going to go the full hour. I don't think, you know, for myself, probably go 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at the most. But again, you know, certainly we'll keep our eyes open for hands coming up, and maybe Justin or Sharon, if you can see that as well. And towards the end, of course, we can have some Q&A. But I just certainly want to make this an open environment. There's a lot to talk about around AI. I think it's kind of hard to wake up in the morning without hearing the word AI nowadays. It seems to be everywhere. And people are still really learning what it's all about, which is a lot. And before we get into all of that, I'll provide a quick overview on Defensx, and we'll go from there. So, you know, very quickly on our company, there are many familiar names here. So some people on this call are already working with us, but I'll give you just some real background. You know, AI, we're headquartered in New York. Myself, I handle global sales out of the West Coast of North America, and my colleague Justin is in Colorado. We have teams in Europe, different parts of the US, Texas, Canada, and growing. In fact, now we're growing even further because we're adding more staff. Things are moving very quickly. In 2025, we won a number of awards, which was quite nice. But I think even more significant is we have now just over 4,800 to 4,800 organizations using Defensx and growing. And the reasons why, you know, really, we are, I'll walk into the background of the company for those who don't know us, just to give some overview. But we're an incredibly fast growing leader in this space for several reasons. One is we were able to address different markets, not just enterprise, but SMB. We work very closely with channels like MSPs. And with the support of Spikeit, we're becoming very effectively distributed and working with MSPs and end customers in Israel. It's growing quickly. And our European operations the same, APAC. It's a very exciting time. And it's, I like to say, I like to think it's all just because of Defensx, but in general, there's a real need, and the need has shifted. And I'll get into some of that and why we're winning awards and why it's growing quickly. For those that don't know, I'll just spend a quick minute on what we do overall, just so everyone understands. Really, there's some key areas about what Defensx is. And for anybody that's been to one of our webinars here with Spikeit, you may have seen this before, but just so bear with us as just a quick refresher. But there's a couple of key areas that we focus on, and at a very basic level: credential theft prevention, identity theft prevention, and really, an alternative and a consolidation of legacy tools like DNS security, which is kind of an old idea. It's important. In fact, we include DNS in everything that we do, but it's still an old concept. We're really things have evolved rapidly, and because we're now able to secure any browser at a very basic level, Defensx is known for this. We're known for giving organizations safety to keep credentials and identities from being stolen, which is the number one reason why people have phishing attacks. Now, we're not going to focus on that today, but it's important for some background for those that may not know our company. Because of that, and because we now are able to be very easily deployed and really are able to secure any browser, and we have eyes on any browser because we can now see what's happening, what websites people are going to. We can also see what data is moving across browsers, and we can really control the traversal of data across any browser, whether it be Edge, Chrome, Firefox, that kind of thing. And the whole idea behind this is that now we're able to control things. You're able to now build a better fence around your deployments with your customers or your enterprises. And more than that, because we've been able to do that, we can now say, hey, we can now keep people from intentionally or accidentally uploading data or downloading from dangerous places. Because we've now controlled the browser, we're actually now able to take any browser and transition that into a replacement for VPNs. Because we now have, and I'll walk through how this works in a minute, but we now have the ability to really make any browser secure. We can take that same license that we deploy and replace a VPN and make any browser a ZTNA client, a zero trust environment, and be able to tunnel from any endpoint, any place. So some really big things have happened. So in a nutshell, there's a lot that we do. I can go on and on about our features, but really where we came from and why we're growing quickly is the need to protect the browser. And the reasons why is that the modern day workspace has shifted to the browser. 85% of traffic, according to the analysts, of web browser usage is happening during the workday, which is a big number. It shows you that organizations are really using the browser for the operating system for everything that they do. So specific to things like AI, which we'll get to in a moment, that's all happening here too. And we'll talk about what we're able to do about this, the kind of tools we can put in place because of that shift to cloud. And really, that's what this is really all about, is that because organizations are now doing more and more things in the cloud, the everyday browser is really becoming the operating system for our lives, even in our personal lives, banking, paying your rent, paying your mortgages, checking your statements, filing your taxes. It's all happening in the browser. That's very real at a personal level. At a professional level, it's just tenfold. It doesn't matter if it's accounting, email, pick an application, it's all happening there. And as a result, the browser has become an attack surface. And what Defensx represents is the ability now to manage all that safely and keep things from getting dangerous at that level. And the way we achieve this, and this will really help everyone understand where we're going with things around AI, because this is very much about AI. But as a background, we are a very simple to deploy agent on any endpoint that immediately deploys an extension to every browser and creates a whole pile of services, from the web and DNS protection, alternatives, the credential theft prevention, the ability to spot attacks, the ability to spot fake Microsoft logins for those that know our products, the ability also to upgrade all the way to a VPN replacement. That all happens here. But because of that, we also have eyes on every single browser and all traffic. And it enables something like this, where depending on the license type you may be familiar with, may or may not be familiar with, we have the ability to really do different kinds of things in different license types, but they all play together, whether it be phishing prevention, whether it be data loss prevention, whether it be the ability to do remote browser isolation or RBI, and even a higher end VPN replacements. So there's some big things that we're able to do, and then we take it even further because we can now see everything. We have something newer called Nexi, which is something we're going to get into in a moment. But this should hopefully give you a better sense of the breadth of products that we run. So There we are. So let's get right into it. Let's face it, everyone's using AI. But the funny part, and we see this in every company, is because everyone now needs to. And these are some real stats. This is very real, some pretty recent ones. What we're starting to see from more and more of the analysts is something called shadow AI has evolved. And I'll give everyone a really good example of what this means. Most business owners, most MSPs we deal with in the channel, they all say the same thing when we ask these questions. What's your thoughts on AI? What are you going to do? And they always say the same thing. Not sure yet. We're thinking about giving AI to our users. We're thinking about Copilot, which is a great tool. We're not really sure yet. Turns out everybody's already using it. And there's this fear of missing out thing that's happening among the workforce, realizing that if they don't use AI, their coworkers who are competing for the same job promotion are, to get them to help them write their emails or come up with ideas or whatever the heck they're doing. And this is becoming a really big thing in the workplace. This is in really everyday lives. I'm not sure if anyone here has kids that are going to university or planning to go to university, but I will tell you from personal experience last year when one of my kids applied to her first year of school, before she got in, she was warned, don't use AI, because we're already on to this. Kids are doing this now for their university applications, which is insane, but this is very real. What I'm getting at is it's everywhere. And it really is that tiger in the room. Shadow AI usage is what we really call this, and this is what's identified. This is becoming very quickly something that's the front of our vocabulary in the tech industry, where they recognize, and really what that means is we don't know what workers are doing because there's no eyes on this. There's no way to do all this. And that's become the real issue. And the reality is this, if you're sitting there as a worker, you're an executive in a big company, doesn't matter what it is, you're starting to realize because all the hype, I better use AI to help me. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. I'm going to be falling behind. That's the risk, right? This all feels very bubble-like in the AI world. I think it's here to stay. I think the reality is it's going to become a great tool for humans to use. But right now, there's a lot of danger points, which we'll get into in a minute. And really, a lot of it has to do with the reality that shadow AI needs to be managed and prevented. And it's more widespread than you think. And the bigger thing is this: organizations really don't know what they don't know. They have training courses on how to use it. That's all great, but they really have no controls. And that's become a really big problem. And really, ChatGPT or Claude, unfortunately, DeepSeek, depending on the organization, has become something that's being used by workers, by all levels of workers, CEOs all the way to people working in a call center, and everything in between. And it's becoming a really big thing. And as you can see, the stats are kind of greater than 70%. It's kind of consistent across the board based on the previous slide. And this is very real. And we recognize that there's some real needs to deal with all of this. Because now, and I'll get into what we do here in a second, but fundamentally, this has become the tiger in that, I said that tiger in the room. There is everything from, I'll give you a great example. Consider an executive who says, hey, we are in a competitive industry. We need to build a new factory in the British West Indies. That'll expand our markets from the British West Indies all the way to the Caribbean. That's the future. The executive decides to write an email, but before they do, because they have to write it to their boss for a big proposal, they want to make sure everything is perfect. They use ChatGPT to do it. That executive has now typed that email. The risk that executive runs now, and it says, okay, this looks good. I'm going to paste this into my email. I'm going to send it to my boss for the proposal. What they don't know is their competitor now has access to ChatGPT, and they can say, tell me where this company is going to build their next factory. And it'll say British West Indies, because the information was given away at the LLMs. That's the risk of shadow AI, giving away company secrets. And what's happening is organizations are getting paid versions of things, but workers are still going, we'll call it off the track a little bit, doing it themselves. So nobody knows that they're using it as their little cheat tool, right? And the next thing you know, they're giving away company secrets. There is a way to manage all this, because this is all happening now in the browser. Even where ChatGPT, and I know folks are probably, I'm sure there's a very technical group that works with Spikeit. ChatGPT does have an offline client. There is a fat client on the machine. There's a way to force that to the browser and put eyes on all this and controls. And the whole idea is to manage shadow AI. If you're selling to companies and you're an MSP or a reseller in this session, this is something you can present to your customers today, because everybody has a story. If you're on this call and you run your own company and you have your own workers, you have the same problem. In fact, I would wager that probably 90% of everybody's workers in this call and all of your customers' workers are using AI and nobody knows about it. I would guarantee that, because it's everywhere. It's not, it's, you know, certainly I don't want to be smug about my opinion about this, but this is real. This is happening. Like there's the train has definitely left the station on this one. You know, what we do at Defensx to manage all of this is very simple. Our existing license type called Core Plus, which I showed you back in this, which is the first one up from that stack, okay? That now has shadow AI management and controls. And it's just something as simple as this. You know, someone enters a prompt, and it's a prompt that somebody maybe shouldn't put in ChatGPT. We spot it. If it's something that you don't want them to say, could be a social insurance number, social security number in America, could be a credit card number. Believe it or not, people actually do that. I don't know why you put a credit card number in ChatGPT, but it happens. It could be any other kind of PII you could possibly imagine, or it could be some keyword you just don't want them to enter. Like I used an example of a company that's opening a factory in the British West Indies, that company name. The whole idea is you can obfuscate this. And here's why. Because we're already in the browser, because our agent is already there looking at everything, you now have the ability to manage PII here. Now, we take it a lot further than this, and we'll get into that in a minute, but at a very, very basic level now, you can do this. And yes, there will be an offline client for AI models. We can force all that back into the browser. So you have control over this. And the whole idea is let them use it, just let them use it safely. So shadow AI has become like this thing that, and this is happening, no exaggeration, in the last 6 months, this has gone from something nobody's talked about to an explosion, because everybody recognizes it's a much bigger thing. Tons of vendors are talking about shadow AI right now. But what most of them are really doing is just firewall, kind of basic level, kind of stopping, blocking and this kind of thing. This takes it to the next level. This puts it in the employees, back in the employees' hands, and gives them the ability to do this. And it's as simple on our back end as seeing which AI models you want to allow and how you want to govern it. Could be ChatGPT, could be Claude, could be any of that. And the whole idea is to make it easily configurable. And the whole idea behind all of this in a shadow AI, an AI model is build some nice rules around this and a nice fence. And yes, things like Copilot, same idea. Now, what we discovered very quickly is Microsoft invented Copilot. It's really part of OpenAI. It's their models. Most organizations haven't decided to go all the way with it yet. Meanwhile, all their workers are already using ChatGPT. This is on a regular basis. I'll give everyone a great example of what happened very recently with us. And Justin in our demo, who's my colleague in this call, he'll show you some of this. But very recently, Justin was on a call with a customer. They decided to, they decided to launch Defensx. Things are going well. They're launching Core Plus. A couple of reasons why, because there's a lot of other things that Core Plus does that I really want to stay focused on AI for today's call, but some other features just to give you a highlight of what else it does. You can keep workers from accidentally uploading data or intentionally uploading data to places they shouldn't. You can do screenshot protection, so they can't take a screenshot of, say, the company's QuickBooks or something like that. The whole idea is it puts a nice fence around data and web DLP. Okay. Question came around that Justin asked the customer, hey, what are your plans for AI? And the company owner said, well, we're thinking about it. We're kind of experimenting a little bit. We're thinking about maybe giving our workers Copilot. We're not sure about, what to do with AI yet with our workers, but at some point we're going to have to give our workers AI so they can be more productive. So they launched Defensx. Their first report they ran, they found out that it turned out that their entire workforce was already using AI. And one of their workers decided to upload a file called customer list _CRM _HubSpot in an Excel. In other words, that worker uploaded a file that had their entire customer database with all their emails and contact information, everything. They basically gave it all away. They obviously turned around and said, how do you help us with this? And they didn't realize how big it was. And the more we look at this, that exact same story is playing out over and over again. This is an opportunity for everybody here. This is an opportunity for you to get controls of your organizations, over your own organization, and an opportunity to give it to your clients if you're an MSP or a reseller, and really give them some tools that they desperately need. The great part about it is, and we'll show you how this all works, it's not that hard to deploy. It's just, there's a bunch of things that we do, and we'll show you this in the demonstration. And it's as simple as this. On the back end of this, you've got some PII rules around maybe credit card numbers, which is kind of obvious, social security numbers in America, social insurance numbers, which is seen in a lot of other countries, that kind of thing. You block all that stuff. But then you can block some keywords, like maybe if you're in the beer industry, you can't use the word Budweiser or whatever it happens to be. And the whole idea is lock down the stuff that would keep an organization from accidentally giving away all their private data. This kind of thing is very real. But the whole idea is we can now protect private information and keep that leakage from happening. And shadow AI, I mean, this is today. This is not futures. This is available today in Core Plus. Very real. So that's a ton, and I certainly hope that some of the themes I covered in some of this part of my discussion today makes sense. And we are seeing this now play out repeatedly. This is a giant opportunity, and and for anyone that's looking to sell new services to customers that bring real value, this is it. Now, this represents there's a few kind of big categories right now in cybersecurity. This takes us well past cybersecurity for secure browser. Okay, next topic, very quickly. Now there's a lot of risk around AI, and I'll get into this in a second, but there's something new that we just announced called Nexi AI. You'll see this on our website. Our friends at Spikeit have been talking about it for a while now as well. But because we're now able to see everything that's happening in a browser, because keep in mind, once Defensx is deployed, you have the ability to understand what users are clicking on, where they're going, what they're doing there, how long they're spending there, who's going to what kind of sites, all that stuff. So why not take all that information and consolidate it into something that's easy for people to understand? And I would argue that most of the people on this call are probably technical people. You know how to read a dashboard, you know how to look at stats and everything else. Really good chance that the business leader of either your company or business leaders of your customers' companies probably don't know how to do that, because that's not their roles, right? They're probably lawyers or doctors or who knows, accountants, architects, whatever it happens to be. Point is, this is not their thing, but they need some way to get a better sense of what's really going on in the organization, especially now that most of us are working from home. I know from a lot of my friends in Israel, a lot of people have been working from home the last couple of years. And here in North America, because of COVID and everything else, before that, lots of people went to work from home. But organizations have no eyes on what people are really doing. And the whole idea is not that we don't want to spy on people, but at the same time, it's your business, and it's that person's industry. They need to understand at the very least where the risks are in the company, or what workers are risky. More importantly, and maybe in a much more positive way of looking at it, who are the superstars? The idea is we've built something called Nexi, which is an entirely new license type. It's really geared towards a couple of key personas in an organization that gives them agentic AI that tells them, as long as Defensx is deployed, what the heck is going on. So why not enter a little prompt in there that says, for example, rank all the SaaS apps by number of AI native features that we aren't using and estimate the efficiency, right? And create visuals to make it work, make sense. In other words, what tools are working, what are AI native, and see what it actually looks like. And the whole idea is Nexi is an AI agent that just says, hey, based on your current security logs and best industry practices, here's a structured analysis of the SaaS AI features that you're using. And the idea now is that business owner gets real charts and graphs and real stats. You can use the same thing for other kinds of things, but the whole idea now is let's understand, first of all, those 3 software packages we bought 6 months ago, who's using it? Because everything's online. Right? That new service we bought, everything's online. Let's find out if we're actually getting our value, getting our money's worth here. You're not spying now on workers. That's not the idea. This is business efficiency tools. This is instant. Now, if you're a business owner, this kind of stuff really matters, because now you understand what workers are really doing. Of course, there's bigger things you can do, because consider that you could have multiple personas using Nexi, and their whole goal is as a business leader and a subject matter expert is, hey, I'm an HR manager or I'm head of HR, that kind of thing. I need to know which workers are actually spending time on those business apps. Or an even bigger thing, who are my most productive workers? When he started demonstrating this in beta last summer, over in Denver, we were at a conference in Denver. The CEO of one of our biggest customers in the United States came up to our booth. We showed it to him kind of in conference. Hey, it's something we're working on. What do you think? The first thing this guy did was he typed in, who are my 10 most productive workers? He wanted to know who his superstars were. And the way it calculates that is how much time they're spending online. What are they doing online? Are they going to, Microsoft O365? Are they using SaaS applications that are specific to the business? Or are they going to Facebook? Like, he knows right away. And again, it's not about spying. It's for them to understand who's productive. But the whole idea with Nexi is this puts a very powerful tool in anybody's hands in a very ethical fashion. And keep in mind, and we'll show you this in our demonstration as part of all this when we get into this part of our discussion this afternoon. The whole idea is this is ethical AI, in that None of this data winds up in the LLMs. This is specific to the tenant. So if you are an MSP in this call and you have multiple tenants, each one of these things, the information that they gather, it stays with them. It doesn't get outside of that. At the same time, if somebody's feeling a little uneasy about all this data being collected, there's the ability to hit a purge button at any time and it just goes away. The whole idea is there's never that risk. The only thing that we do want to keep, there's only one small thing we want to keep, are the kinds of questions people ask, because it helps us understand what's important to businesses. Other than that, we just don't want to know. And privacy is a big thing, but the whole idea here is you now have the ability in a really powerful tool to understand at any given time who the most productive workers are, what the biggest risks are, who are the flight risks. In other words, who's going to LinkedIn looking at job boards all day and that kind of thing. All of that can happen with Nexi. What's incredible is, I'll give you is a great real world example. We're in the middle of working with a very large enterprise customer in Asia Pacific region. The IT managers, when they saw Nexi, the first thing they said was, "Oh, we're not so sure about this. This is going to keep an eye on us." Immediately, the boss said, "I love this idea. Now I know what my workers are doing, because half these guys are working from home." It was amazing how it went, right? And the whole idea is business efficiency tools, right? That's what Nexi represents. And really, the kinds of things a CEO would want to see and an HR manager would want to see are different. And the whole what we built around this is now different personas based on the type of power users. And it could be as much as a CISO or a SOC analyst. Where are my exposure risks? Who represents a lot of risk around here? Especially when you get into things like SOC 2 and this kind of thing. And the whole idea here is really put the information that matters to the right people in the hands of the right people. And of course, the whole idea is browse. It becomes the console. And AI adoption becomes easy. For those in this call that are selling products to customers, MSPs or VARs, this is the opportunity to sell AI, to do it successfully, and something that actually works. I'm not saying that the AI tools don't work, but I would argue that there's not a lot of monetization of AI. This is an opportunity to do that. For organizations that use this, the ROI is instant in something like this, because right away you know what everybody's doing. This just gives you all that safety, and you understand right away, where do I have to focus on my business to make things run efficiently. The whole idea behind all this is we built this nice suite of things that we do, but they all play into each other. And I showed the little stack of license types earlier, and I'll kind of give you everybody kind of a quick background and quick run through of kind of what each one does. If you see core is everything to do with phishing protection, DNS style. Well, there is DNS protection, everything, of course. But the idea now is you're able to keep workers and put a fence around where they go, where they put their passwords, where they attempt to. Are passwords safe? Have passwords been breached by doing dark web scans? All that good stuff. Core Plus takes all the same stuff of Core, but we add on top of that DLP, data loss prevention, which obviously controls data. And of course, everything we just talked about that we're going to show in a minute, which is shadow AI detection and governance. Premium takes all the same stuff, adds on top of that remote browser isolation, or RBI, and human resilience. Premium Plus is one thing which we're not covering today, but it's become a very fast-moving category for us, which is ZTNA client, which replaces a traditional VPN. And the whole idea is you can now do that, and it's a very easy to run, secure browser on any browser method to provide a good alternative to SASE. It's easy to deploy. What Nexi AI does is take all the data, all the stuff that we see in these other SKUs, and now you're able to have a nice report. So a business owner says, first thing, how many people are actually using the ZTNA clients here? How many people are actually doing secure browsing? How many people are actually continually trying to put their passwords in places they shouldn't? They'll know that with Nexi AI. So it all plays together. The only difference, of course, is you've got Nexi. I see a hand up if we want to ask. I think there's a question out there.
No, I answer everything.
Okay, super. Okay, sorry, I can't see the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Super. Okay. And it fits. If you think what the modern stack looks like, secure browser has very quickly become an essential part of a security stack. You have your EDRs, of course, but things like filter and secure DNS and everything else, that's all there. But the bigger category, which has really become part of the modern security stack, is a hardened web browser. And really what's interesting is things like shadow AI, which you just talked about, and all that kind of fits outside traditional cybersecurity, but it's a very effective byproduct of this. It really puts the power in everybody's hands, because realistically, for me, it's early in the morning here in the West Coast. I've already used my browser 1,000 times this morning. It's just what's happening, and that's very real. This puts a nice wrapper around all of it. And here's why we know customers are preferring us. There's the ability to replace legacy stuff. It's not just more spend, because there's lots of things you can always spend on. We take a lot of legacy tools, and we're actually assigning it to Defensx, depending on what it was, whether it be kind of old school DNS filtering solutions, cloud access, or CASB brokers, virtual private networks, all of that. Consolidate the infrastructure. But the whole idea is there's really an opportunity to get some money back on this, and the cost of ownership, something we don't hear as much about these days. It used to be a much bigger thing, especially in hardware days. But to be realistic, there needs to be some ROI in tools you bring. Things like Nexi take that to the next level, because now there's real business efficiency. So certainly a ton here, and it really goes back to some key takeaways. And I'll just skip some of this because I would like very much to get into demonstrating how this all really works. But the three biggest areas that we see in cybersecurity today. Shadow AI is a big bullet point, and AI usage in general. Phishing hasn't gone anywhere. That's still crazy. And to say that, I'm not sure how else to put that. I've not seen anything quite like this before, where we have very effective ways to keep that from happening, and we're able to spot all kinds of attacks. We're not going to show that today. That's really not part of today's discussion, but it's still very big, and VPN replacement. But shadow AI usage has very quickly actually bubbled to the very top of people's priorities right now, because they didn't realize this is right in front of them. It's kind of sitting there in the room with them, and they didn't realize it was right there. So that's a lot that I walked through. What I'd like very much to do is turn this over to my colleague, Justin, and we can show you how shadow AI prevention and detection works, and we can show you Nexi. So Justin, please.
All right, let me share my screen here. And there we go. All right, so I'm going to first kind of show off the dashboard a little bit, and then we'll go into what the features actually do. So the first thing I wanted to show off is actually one of our new dashboard items, which is this monthly AI Insights. This actually stems from that story that Andrew kind of alluded to. This happened about 3 months ago. On an onboarding with a fellow partner, we're going through a customer's environment, making sure everything looked good. And I asked him, like, hey, are you having that AI talk? And he goes, you know what? Funny thing, I actually asked the CEO, and he's like, no one's using it yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then we go to the file transfer logs, because as you know, we can see what people are uploading and downloading. And the very first log was ChatGPT, and the file name was HubSpot_customer list, and somebody uploaded their entire customer list to ChatGPT, and I was like, well, there's your proof they're crossing that bridge. And yes, he took that data back to the partner, and they now have Core Plus. So we've created a dashboard based around this to show off AI adoption, because Andrew's absolutely right. A lot of the executives and the decision makers don't realize how much their users are using AI to do their job. And so here we created this here. We show the AI adoption based upon the number of users, what's their average time spent, what's the biggest AI they go to, and if they're uploading any files and file types. It's a great way to show that customer who might not know what their employees are doing when it comes to AI, and it's an easy way to show them, like, no, they're using it. You need these styles of protections and things like this in here. So coming down here to a few things are, one, we have that new PII rules available, kind of showed off there. I have it set up for credit card numbers, social security numbers, and key terms. It's very simple to set up. We use regex for all this. You can either build your own or just copy and paste from a Google search. And we do have some pre-built ones in here as well, and things like this. Once you've built it, you add a custom URL group like I did here for PII test. I have it for Claude and ChatGPT. And then in the policy, you just essentially tick the box. And then now those rules are in place and things like this. We also have the capability over here with our AI protections, which we have for Copilot and ChatGPT. We've had that for a while. We now recently added Claude to that list, and we actually have a little blurb about Google Gemini, because a lot of people have always asked us, well, why aren't we doing this for Google Gemini? And the answer is Google actually has it a part of their policy that they don't use your prompts and responses to train its models. It's going to be the one time I'm going to say, good job, Google. Now bring back the do no evil part and things like this. We have those capabilities in here. So what this kind of does with these little toggle flips here is we require the user to log into those IIs in order to use them. So as an example here, you can see right here when I have ChatGPT, it's trying to do something, nothing's logged in at all. And so the first thing we do is we force the user to log in. So if I go like this here, you can see right there, sign in is required. You can just sign in to use AI chatbots. And it actually stops to transmitting what I try to get to them. So that's the first key piece here. The second key piece is, okay, they logged in either with their Entra ID, with Copilot, could be a free or paid account inside of ChatGPT and Claude. And one of the things we're doing here is underneath their settings, there is a improve the model for everyone or improve Claude. We turn it off. And if the user tries to turn it on, we don't let them, essentially. So this way you can allow your customers, utilize some really great tools, but then also make sure that none of that data goes back to the model and become a possible answer down the line and things like this. Now, for those PII rules capabilities are things like this. If I typed in a social security number here, this is one of the ones I have, you can see that Defensx has triggered it, shows me the bad thing that I did, and we've actually removed the text and actually replaced it with asterisks here. Now, cool thing is, maybe they're going to copy and paste a big wall of text, and they don't know that sensitive information is in there. Well, if they do that, like I did here, you can see here, there is 2 social security numbers and a quick little blurb I took out of a book and just inserted a couple of social security numbers and pasted it in here. So you can see that both of those are found, and you can see right here, in that little thing I just did, you can see where I put them in because it actually removed it, but it keeps everything else. This way, they can still utilize the tool, but still protect that data, whatever you want to protect, essentially, and things like this. We have those capabilities, of course. Now, one of the other great things about our product is we also have a new feature called the LLM Prompt Logger. So yes, we are going to be able to see what people are typing into AIs and then also reflect on it and also alert if it's something like PII, non-business related, and you guys will be able to put in a message saying to tell the users, hey, we're logging your prompts just because it's part of company policy. And then down here in our logs section, underneath our AI prompt logs, if I go back a little bit here, you're going to see a whole bunch of things that I've been typing into AI. Oh, got to go back a little bit further. There we go. So you can see right here, like I typed in 5 family-friendly movies I should watch at home. I literally typed in the word avocado, and you can see right there, before I added the PII protections, you can see I was able to type in a social security number, which flagged it for PII. And even here, it still tells it it's a potential attempt and things like this. We alert off a few things like code and AI and potential PII exposure, things like that. Personal usage is in here too, and things like this. So now, like, for example, if I went and did this one again, it would actually have a NB tag here, which stands for non-business. So now you can actually see and make sure that people are following company policy when it comes to utilizing AI and things like this. We have wonderful tools available to help, utilize these tools in a safe business fashion. And then, of course, as we all just showed off, we have Nexi AI. Nexi is our new agentic AI where you can easily ask it questions. It literally just lives inside the customer's environment. It's pulling off the logs and everything there. It's not reaching out to do anything or anything like that. Just like there's no data going out from Nexi. But we can actually do things like, what is the top security risk, users and things like this. You can see right here, no one's done anything risky. Hey, good job. Which user spent the most time using AI? And it can easily build you a chart and things like this. Who attempted going to risky websites? So we can easily build these reports and things like this. So you guys are going to be able to build your report based upon whatever you want to ask it. We have some already models built in place, so we can do reports based upon, are they the CEO, the CTO, head of HR, the CISO? We can easily build those reports based upon how you want to, essentially, and things like this. So we have those capabilities and things in here. So with Nexi, it's going to be a very great way to build those reports. One of the biggest feature requests a lot of partners have always asked us is they want to be able to build custom reports. This is one of our answers to it, is the fact that with Nexi, you can literally have it build whatever you want, essentially, and then export it out, and then you have an easy way to get these things. So now, what's also going to be kind of nice about Nexi is the idea is maybe not so much that the you guys will be able to want to do it. It's more about giving the access to the people who are really going to be wanting to use it. That's the CEOs, the CTOs, the CISOs. You're going to be able to give them Nexi and give them access to Defensx with only Nexi. They can't touch anything else. The only thing they're going to get is Nexi, and therefore they can just go about and go ham as we call it over here, and type in whatever they wanted, build those reports, and have Nexi build those for them, and then they have the insights they need. Now, another thing that's really kind of cool about this is I like to call Nexi kind of what a lot of people are probably calling an oxymoron, which is ethical AI usage, because one of the things that you can do is you can come in here and you can delete your data at any time. We don't control it. You guys do. Once again, none of the data will ever leave Defensx. It doesn't go anywhere because we don't want it, essentially. We believe that the AI data should always be in the power of the people using it and things like this. So you do guys have full control over what Nexi keeps, essentially, in things like this. So, but yeah, that's all our AI features. Any questions from anybody, or did I miss anything, Andrew? Oh, you're
Sorry,
muted.
I was muted. My apologies.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything in Nexi. There's a lot there. I think the important point for everyone to get is that there's now some very powerful tools that help a business owner understand more about their organization. The data is very real. It's a real data lake based on just their info, and it's ethical AI. There's no risk of this winding up in the open LLMs. This becomes something that's, really the opportunity for someone to get some real ROI out of the tools they deploy, and really build some engagement with their entire organization, and just understand at any given time what the risks are, who the superstars are, who the flight risks are, all of it in one place.
Exactly.
So,
and as you can see, it can build off the data too. I can ask something, give me the answer, and it also will build off that typical AI usage.
Yeah. So for anyone here that's an MSP or a VAR, I'm sure you have business leaders that would find a lot of value in something like this. There aren't a lot of tools like this. There have been some tracking tools in the past. This takes things to the next level, because what's going on in the browser tells you everything. That's become a very powerful way to manage all this, especially as you have the remote workforce where we just don't know what people are doing. Now we know at the very least, is my organization efficient or do we have problems?
Exactly. You can see that a lot of solution, a lot of products are moving to a SaaS service. So
Yes.
so the internet and the browser is a pain point that we need to take control of. Exactly as you said, Andrew, we need the users and the browser are moving forward, and Defensx is moving alongside with that and protect every new step that comes. We can see it. We can see also that the solution of the DLP, the option not to allow printing, or not to allow a print screen, or add some watermarks in the browser. We can see that Defensx is moving forward with the solution and give a lot of value first to the end customer that uses the solution, and for us as an MSP, as an integrators, and as IT or security people, it gives us a lot of value and a lot of way to control what's going out of the organization, what's going in, how to block AI, how to give the users the ability to use AI, and not to do not to have to have a gap between the needs of the users and the needs of the company.
So really understand it's more the fact that the browser is today's modern workspace.
It truly is. Yeah, that's really what's happened. You're dead right, Ramya. Exactly. The browser is the workspace now. Like it's happened. This is all shifted. This is the last 5 years. We've seen a massive shift to cloud. We're seeing fewer and fewer applications, if any, that are really sitting on the OS. There's some fat clients left. Of course, our friends in the agentic AI space, ChatGPT and Claude and guys like that, they've all built, clients of the machine. We're forcing it back to the browser. So now an organization can use that stuff safely. I think pretending it's not there is not a strategy. I think, we're gonna have to find a way to work with it. This is a tool that gives an organization the ability to work with it.
Exactly, and we didn't speak about the ZTNA solution that Defensx is offering. So this is going to be the next webinar.
Yes.
that we are going to work. Yeah, you want to add something, Andrew?
No, I just want to say, like, there are a lot of things that we do. We want to keep today's focus on AI because there's just a lot. This is a pretty big topic. Like I said at the beginning of our discussion today, it's kind of hard to turn on a computer, pick up a virtual newspaper nowadays. Nobody really prints newspapers anymore, but it doesn't matter where you're getting the news from. AI is everywhere. It's all around us. It's unavoidable. And it's evolved now as a great tool for society, but also a giant risk. If we can mitigate the risk, then we can keep the benefits.
Exactly. So for a conclusion, I want to thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Justin, for the presentation. As everyone can see, AI is a hot topic right now, and we need to control it and protect the organization. And I want to thank you again, Andrew and Justin, for the presentation, for the demo, for working with us, with our customers on every issue that we have. And thank you all the viewers, the listeners, the readers, everyone that was in this webinar. I'm going to send a summary of the webinar with a link to the record of the video. And if anyone wants to have a demo or to discuss with us about the solution or something like that, please reach us. You know how to get in touch with us. And see you on the next webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.